Story 1. The Playground and the Voice in the Slide when I was 13. As Saturday night, my friends and I rode our bikes all over town. Earlier that evening, we'd grabbed pizza, then went back to my friend Marco's house, which was close to mine. There were 6 of us at first, hanging out in his backyard until his mom came outside and told us to quiet down or go somewhere else. 3 friends headed home. I stayed with Marco and our friend Eli, and we decided to ride to the park down the block from my house. The park was bordered on 3 sides by a small patch of woods, with the street on the 4th side. It had a little baseball field, a few benches, a small set of bleachers, and a decent-sized playground with a twisty metal slide and swings. We climbed onto the playground to hang out on the upper platform where it felt hidden. While we were talking, Marco suddenly said, "Shh, did you hear that?" We listened. Nothing. He thought he'd heard a step or a thump somewhere on the playground that wasn't to us. A few minutes later, all 3 of us heard a dull thud on the equipment. We got up, looked around, and called out, asking who was there. No response. We settled again. A few minutes after that, we heard it, a child's voice, coming from inside the metal slide. It sounded like a toddler, probably a boy, saying, "Hello." We froze. None of us had heard anyone climb up or get into the slide. I went over and asked, "Is someone in there? Do you need help?" No answer. I climbed into the slide and went down, bracing to see a kid around the curve. I reached the bottom. It was empty. I scanned the ground level and the surrounding area. No one. It would have been impossible for a little kid to run away unseen in that time. We checked all the hiding spots. Nothing. Then the same small voice came from inside the slide again. "Catch me." That sent us straight to our bikes. We rode hard back to my house, cutting through the block to my backyard to catch our breath quietly so we wouldn't to wake my dad. We were whispering about what happened when someone knocked on the backyard gate, like a polite, "May I come in?" knock. I asked, "Who is it?" A woman's voice answered, "Hello. Were you guys just at the park before?" There's a tiny crack where the gate meets the fence, so I peeked. A middle-aged woman stood there, already looking right at the crack with a wide, unsettling grin. I stepped back and said, "No, sorry." She said, "Are you sure?" Marco called. "No, we weren't." She replied, "Okay, thanks anyway." I glanced back through the crack. She was still there, still smiling, still staring. We went inside through the back door and stayed downstairs, shaken. My friends didn't want to risk getting their bikes, so they crashed at my place and left in the morning. We avoided that park for a long time. We tried to rationalize it. Maybe a kid ran from his mom, hid in the playground, and the mom came looking. But we rode home too fast for someone on foot to follow us to my gate, and we never actually saw a kid. I still don't know who the voice belonged to or who that woman was. Story 2. The Hooded Man in the Park in the summer of 2018. On a Friday night after a late shift, I went to my local park to clear my head. It was about an hour after sunset. The path was dim under the trees, lit here and there by street lamps. I kept my headphones in at low volume and started walking. I noticed a man sitting on a bench with his hood up, staring straight ahead. As I passed, I realized he was looking at me and didn't shift his gaze. I sped up. Footsteps started behind me, matching my pace. I paused. They stopped. I walked. They resumed, still in sync. I turned onto a smaller side trail to cut back toward the street and get out faster. The hooded man stood up and moved in the same direction, never acknowledging me, never hurrying, just mirroring my pace. I broke into a light jog. He did too, maintaining the same distance. I decided to leave the park immediately and sprinted for the street exit. When I reached the sidewalk and turned back, he had stopped at the tree line, standing in the shadows, hood up, watching. I ran home with shaking hands and barely got my door open. A few days later, I walked the park in daylight to prove to myself it was fine. The bench where I'd first seen him was empty but fresh. Messy scratches were etched into the wood-like hurried letters I couldn't quite read. My stomach dropped. From then on, I avoided the park at night. Over the next couple of weeks, I kept noticing things around the neighborhood. A figure across the street that vanished when I looked. A car I didn't recognize parked for too long, lights flicking on as I passed houses. I told myself I was being paranoid. 2 weeks later, jogging near dusk on the main street, I passed the park edge and saw a hooded figure standing just inside the trees, same height and build, motionless. I moved to my car slowly, got in, locked up, and drove away, checking the mirror the whole time. I never saw him again in the park. Park security cameras later showed nothing unusual in the areas I'd walked. I never heard him speak, only those synchronized footsteps and that constant sense of being watched. I didn't report it because I had nothing useful to give, no face, no clear details. Even now, years later, if I drive past that park, I sometimes think I see a figure at the trees. I don't stop to check. I just keep going,